Hey, it's us again. Would you look at that?
Welcome to episode 2, the admin experience of Microsoft Edge for Business, with Johannes and me.
And Lewis. So, Lewis, how do we do this?
Well, we are starting at admin.microsoft.com and we've gone down to settings and Microsoft Edge,
Let's put this full
and then
screen.
you get this new menu or newish menu at the time of recording, and it gives us lots of different cards on where we can start, what we should look at doing. If we want to educate users, which is always something we're trying to do, if I quickly move to that tab, you can send out pre-populated emails from the portal about what you're doing as an admin. So, are you aware of Edge? You can see a preview of the email there, what they would get. So, all these tools are designed to help you adopt Microsoft Edge. But let's assume you're over that hurdle of convincing everyone in the business that it's going to happen. There are a few different ways of configuring Microsoft Edge, one of which is in this portal, the other way is in Intune. But today we're going to focus solely on what can be done through the Admin Center, because I believe that's where probably most new admins are more familiar with. Would you agree with that, Johannes?
Yes, absolutely.
So what can we set out to do here? We can maybe upload some custom branding, set some managed favorites, and that'll be on the bookmark bar at the top, and just look at what else is available in this portal.
Yep. I would also just suggest the people watching this start with the easy stuff. You don't need to do everything all at once. And like adding custom branding and maybe, a managed bookmark, that's a very low cost, very low risk thing to deploy and see how it works. You don't need to go crazy with this on day one. So yeah, click on configuration profiles.
Okay, let's add a profile. I'm going to call it test because that's what we do in every demo. Well, actually, let's call it Contoso policy. And it creates that in the background, and you can see you can make multiple policies and then set the priority of them. So once you make the policy, this kind of unlocks all the other features in this portal. So you've got the policies, web extension management, which is really, really, really important. And I've written blogs about this before, and I talk about it quite often. If you're allowing people to randomly download whatever web extension they want, that could be a big business risk, because as we discussed in our first video, over half of the time someone is in a web browser, and so attackers are looking to exploit that time and start to target web extensions or create malicious extensions.
Or buy legit extensions and make them malicious, which has been an attack vector for years. It's fascinating. Just to sort of go on a slight side tangent, we had this was years ago. You had a bunch of users who had a auto refresh extension. Then all of a sudden, their browsers pages started getting filled with pornography. Um, they had no idea why, and we figured out that it was due to an extension that a bunch of criminals bought. They bought it from the original creator, and they just turned it into something completely different. It was fascinating. Never seen anything like it.
Yeah, which is why I always opt for reviewing extension use in the business. And the way to make that easier, first of all, is by restricting the business to use one browser, which is the theme of this whole series. So look at the extensions. We can manage extensions and select what we'd like to allow. What should we do here? Not allow extensions, but allow people to request blocked extensions or block stuff by default. So we're blocking anything that's unmanaged, but we're allowing people to ask for it. And then we can come back later and see requests in here.
I highly recommend testing this granularly because there might have you might not always be completely aware of what is actually going on in your business. So try this on the IT group first, and then sort of scale it out slowly.
Yeah, so the system at which these things get applied is a little bit confusing. So we're at Microsoft Edge, we've got our configuration profile, and then we've got our assignment of that profile. So we're a few layers deep before we get to that option. So whoever this gets assigned to now is going to have some sort of extension management. Now, if we look at our policies, you can see that it's created that for us by way of going to the extensions and ticking the box. Let's do managed favorites. And these just follow what you see in kind of group policy or in the Edge policy. If you go to Edge, in the URL bar, you can do /policies and flags and stuff, and it's just coming from there. I'm not sure why that's not coming up. I'm sure I saw this earlier.
There's no way that a live demo would fail. I can't believe it. There it is, man's favorite.
Yeah, it's because I was using English spelling. Right, there we go.
Yeah. Use the wrong English, man.
So at the moment, this portal is quite new. So I would say the UI is slightly confusing. But we've picked the policy. We can select more details. And handily for this one, we have an idea of the structure of the JSON that we need to enter. So I can copy that. And in a real world, I would probably go and edit that in Notepad++ and make that look the way I want it to. So this is what the folder is going to be called in the bookmark bar. And then all the child items will get listed there, and you can play with this and mess around with it. And there we go back to Value. We can see a slightly different view of how that's going to look. And I will click Save. And Johannes, you said in here I can add the logo, right?
If you go back, you can
right, okay.
Presentation settings. There it is. Ooh, see?
So look, before we go there, we've got Copilot, and we've got all these different options we can use. And by default, organizations should allow Copilot, but rather than immediately opting out of it, if it's already enabled in the licenses that you have, right? Because sometimes what IT admins can do is this sort of disable by default mentality might block more efficient ways that someone can work with newer features. So my stance is, if it's new, let it be, but restrict it where you need to. And that's why you might want to do something like block other LLM chatbots. So going to let me just save that one here. Going to the branding. We've got a nice screenshot here of what it looks like, but I want to use custom branding. The organizational name is the tenant name, and I can import a logo. Oh, it's asking for an SVG. So I can upload my logo. I can click import and find that. Just a second. And I can also change the taskbar icon as well, but I'm not going to do that for now. I just want the actual profile flight to look the way I want it to. So it's actually already updated with the Contoso logo in there now. Not the best logo to use at that size, but it's just to demonstrate the fact you can upload stuff and hit go. And maybe I can change the accent color as well. Why not we change it to
bright green?
Green. Bright green? Okay, let's go like, that's kind of like Kermit green. There we go. And save. Profile switching, we can tell Edge to do things based on what else we've got set up, like IE mode. Again, these things need testing because it's not right to assume the way that a user works, and it might annoy them. If you've got an intranet site that needs IE, for example, you can upload the URL here. And then the favorite one for IT admins is obviously security settings. So we can turn on
This
security
is
mode.
this is where you need to be careful, especially that at the bottom, block other browsers. This will add, I think it's called app blocker policies to the device. You need to be careful with this. Yeah.
It will go ahead and make policies over in Intune as well when you do this. So these parts of the settings that we deploy here can be done directly through Edge. Other parts still require Intune. This block other browsers button requires Intune. I mean, this would be an incredibly difficult button to turn on in most businesses unless, you know, it's already established that Edge is only in use and you don't have people like developers or people
Yeah.
that just insist on using other browsers.
It's one of those, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah, you should in testing, like, have a play around with it and try and break it in your own time. But yeah, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign this to a group, and I'm going to assume that that is an appropriate group and hit select. Okay, that's my policies done. And what we'll do in the next video is show you from an end user point of view, first of all, how to migrate to Edge and the effect of our policies.
Yep. All right. That's all right. See you in the next one.